You. Here we go. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn Season 5 sucks. Season 5 sucks.
And in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me, as always, Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how's it going?
Season 5 sucks. 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 Season 5 sucks.
Corey, join in. Season 5 sucks.
How are you, Corey?
Corey,
Season 5 sucks. Season 5 sucks.
Oh, I'm so happy to be done. Are you guys happy?
Yes, God, yes.
This was the finale of season 5. This is the taste in June they were letting all their fans savor for 2 months.
Oh, yeah. This is like, hey, you're going to want to, this is going to last you through the summer. What the hell is going on?
Oh, wow, it's bad.
It's bad. Yeah,
Corey, you weren't here last week. This is part 2 of an episode that they took from the beginning of, they shot it at the beginning of season 4, and then they just put it at the season finale. Like, if you're going away all summer, you think we want to have something good in the audience's mind to bring them back for season 6, and this is what they used.
Yeah.
And shockingly, it probably aired during June.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, I guess it was June. No, June isn't a sweeps month. May is the sweeps month, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's November, February, May. Okay. Then they played it in June when it doesn't matter, where the ratings didn't matter. Because you have to burn an episode like this. I'd bury it in the middle of the season and hope nobody notices.
Right. But this
was their cliffhanger.
Yeah, can you imagine this happening today on any show? Like, people signed off on this.
Yeah.
People said, producers, network executives said, this is okay.
Well, what episode is this of the year? Isn't it like episode 30, though? So they were abusing the writing staff to begin with, though?
Right. Yeah, they were. But I didn't realize it was this bad.
Oh, this is awful. Well, actually, my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My 7th note in says in big bold letters, "This is unwatchable." Truly, profoundly is unwatchable. The acting was unwatchable, save for the regulars who were just fine. The guests and the extras that were ridiculous in this episode. Everything else is just awful. What an awful experience.
Yeah, it's dretch, and what makes it even more unwatchable is knowing that this was like something that had been put in the backlog from a previous season. That makes it even more unwatchable. Like, you didn't like it the first time around, and now you're trying to be like, I guess we can put it in there at the end of of your season and leave people with that, and that's totally okay.
And the complete dismissal and just like lack of respect for their audience, that they're like, hey, idiots, we could put this in.
That's what galled me the most. It was thing after thing after thing that if the writers had any forethought, they could have at least given us rational explanations for it. Instead, there's stuff that makes no sense. Mm-hmm. And we're at the end of 5 seasons. That's the whole thing about TV is you start to feel as though, hey, I know these people. They're constantly surprising me because they keep on giving us things that one of my examples is, first of all, they've done this periodically, and we've mentioned it periodically. Alex P. Keaton does not seem like a sports fan.
No. We've gone back to sports with Alex P. Keaton, yeah.
That argument at the beginning of Act 2 about the Bengals and the Steelers, I have no words to describe. There's nothing there. It's as if both of those guys have no testicles. I don't think they've ever seen a football game before.
Yeah, it's like me talking to a clone of me about football.
That's a perfect analogy, Paul.
Yeah.
It's so god awful. And Paul and I, we were talking the girl that plays Beth is we finally researched it is a different actress, but she looks so much like Skippy's sister. I don't know why you just didn't make that character Skippy's sister.
I think it was. Have we seen Beth before? Have we seen the character Beth played by a different actress?
No, but she looks identical to Skippy's sister, and so I don't know why you just don't do that.
Maybe she was unavailable. I don't know. It's like that's how you build your universe is by having people come back again.
Yeah, and Corey, actually, the one friend, Chrissy Scott, is that her name?
Yeah.
That's the character that Jennifer has been friends with this entire series that we've never met before.
We finally see. Yeah.
See, it's stuff like that that drives me insane about this. You couldn't have thrown her in one of the 100 previous episodes?
Yeah.
They decided this was the time to do it.
It was like sometimes there was a line that, like, Jennifer, how did you afford those clothes? I got it from my babysitting money. Have we ever seen her babysit other than Andrew?
Right. Maybe that's what she meant.
So she's getting an allowance from them and a babysitting pay from them.
And there was other stuff where it's like, really? You guys never mentioned this stuff, and now you say it like we should know it. And it's just awful.
I don't know how they... Because was TV not as competitive in the 80s? Like... I mean, you have Cheers, you have Cosby, like they're all we've said this before, but this just blows my mind of we can rehash a season 4 episode we didn't use and stick it at the end of season 5 when we're like at the top of our game. Like that could not fly today under any circumstances. It seems like there was like a little more leeway back then than there is today.
You know what? I actually have a bit of an answer to this, I think.
Okay.
And it's something that we've talked about before, but I have just received from my sister. They went to San Diego Comic-Con last month.
Mm-hmm.
She got me a present of the collector's edition Blu-ray of Teen Wolf.
I saw the pictures of that.
There's a 2.5-hour documentary about them making Teen Wolf, which is maybe 85 minutes long.
Right. You need more than that?
It's really interesting. It talks to actors, it talks to the casting director, it talks to the writers and all this stuff, right? And in it, they're talking about how they had cast Michael J. Fox. They wanted him from the get-go. Okay. And they were like, well, you can have him if it's the summer and you film during these hours. Very similar. It was the same time, pretty much. It's like the beginning of the summer, whereas Back to the Future was the end of the summer.
Okay.
And they're like, you can get him now. And if you get him and cast him in the movie as the lead, the show that he's on is going to take off really big. And they're saying this, and they said the reason is that they were putting it behind Bill Cosby, that it got moved from Monday night to Thursday night, so it was going to explode and he was going to be a big star. At no point did the creators of Teen Wolf ever say, the show is so good, it's going to make him a big star. They were like, they're moving it from Monday to Thursday, he's going to be a big star.
Big star.
Did the Ties actually premiere on a Monday night? Was it originally on the Monday night schedule?
I pulled that completely out of my ass. It was some night that wasn't Thursday.
Okay.
But it was moved to Thursday at 8:30.
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
So it was a placeholder show that had a great star in Michael J. Fox and then was just lucky in its placement. And so as we're watching it and we're really getting our spirits down, I think it just never was built to be something that would stand the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I guess, I think, yeah, I see what you're saying, Paul. I guess today there's no room for placeholder shows.
No, placeholder shows go off the air in a week. Nowadays you get bumped after a week if your ratings suck.
Right.
And you look back at shows like Seinfeld or other shows that were huge hits. They always had room to grow and find their footing and stuff like that. And that's another thing that you don't have anymore is time to sit. Like Brandon Tartikoff, right? Isn't he the guy that brought in all these shows?
Yeah.
He would let them find themselves.
Mm-hmm. Very understanding into the writer's process and very generous. And he was also extraordinarily opinionated and trusted his own opinion. He didn't trust focus groups.
Right.
So it was one of these, Cheers completely. The Charles brothers all say that if it wasn't for Brandon Tartikoff, they would have been off the air. He just personally found the show funny and said, I'm playing it the whole year long. I don't care what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
22
episodes. Go ahead. We'll see what happens after that. And it did catch fire before the end of the year.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
just amazing to me. Yeah.
So I highly recommend if you're interested in Teen Wolf, if you have even a passing interest in Teen Wolf, this collector's edition is really worth it to get.
Nice. All right, guys, it's the last one of the season. Let's jump in and do it. If you're playing along at home, if you're still with us, season 5, episode 30?
29.
29 for us, yeah. 29, part 2 of It's My Party. And it's been 3 weeks later. We are in the kitchen. Steven comes in bragging about how great he is at getting tickets. He's getting tickets for the Bengals-Steelers football game. And he's kind of he's kind of gloating at how great he was at getting tickets and able to get the family all tickets for the big Steelers-Bengals game. And that's pretty much what
The Steelers are a football team from the city
Yes.
of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wow. That's your little NFL tip, isn't that?
That's
That's the sum total of your knowledge.
Here, wait, 1 second. 1 second. Keep talking.
And yeah, we'll hear from Paul's clone.
We'll hear it from Paul's clone, who knows as much.
Oh my God! Look at this terrible tall. Oh my God! Oh, Tunchelkin and Byron Cope and all the Steelers. What's the rapist's name? Ben Roethlisberger. He's a real good thrower of the ball.
And a rapist to boot. Allegedly.
Allegedly, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah, we don't want Ben Roethlisberger suing this podcast.
Exactly, and you know he's listening.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Oh, he's been with us since season 1, and then he's like, oh God, guys,
Why would you say that about me?
I've been one of your 6 faithful fans, and you're gonna rip me a new one?
I know.
We get a letter from Ben Roethlisberger. Gentlemen, I want you to know I really love your podcast, but I was very offended in the season 5 finale.
Once calling me a rapist.
I will have you know. Yeah, and then Jennifer enters, and she's like even 10 times more Valley Girl than when we last saw her.
So it did grow from last week to this week.
Yeah, she was starting. She had the hair, but now she's dressing just like the cool kids. Even more obnoxiously like the cool kids. Yeah.
Something I truly didn't know, and maybe one of you can illuminate this for me. Blue seems to be the color of the cool kids.
Yes.
It was an interesting thing that happened. They weren't all necessarily wearing blue last time, but they made a point to say that purple is the color of losers, and that's what like Jennifer used to wear. But the blue thing is new this week.
Yeah, that's a good point. They didn't even keep that consistent. Like, you think they would have a cool color for the cool kids in the first episode, because it seems that that's what they do. And now in this episode, they have a cool color.
Right.
Yeah.
But Jennifer has been going to the mall this whole week, 30 times a week or something like that, and
shopping constantly. And her whole lingo is different. Like on the phone, with gnarly seems to be an incredibly important word.
Right.
Very much so. And the family is worried about Jennifer. They don't like this new Jennifer.
You know what? She's 13 years old. Get a fucking grip, guys.
Yeah, just calm down a little bit.
Yeah, let her be a jerk. What's that, Corey?
They say that Jennifer's going through a phase, but they don't really accept the fact that it's a phase.
No.
Right. Yeah, it's like, well, she's going through a phase, but we really hate it.
No. Yeah. I mean, I've been going through a phase for the past 25 years, and
It's no longer phase, Paul.
Guess what, Paul? It's who you are.
Oh no!
Accept it. It's
I
who
know.
you are.
I feel bad for everybody.
I know. It's like, instead of apologizing, then it's like, wow. My excuse was it was a phase.
Nope. Yeah, the only one that seems to have a slight understanding is Mallory, and I thought they were going to do something with that. Like, Mallory used to seem the one that kind of gets it, and then they don't take that anywhere.
No, they make half-hearted attempts at it a couple of times during the show, but it doesn't ever get to be a complete thought anywhere.
Yeah, they're so similar. It's just Jennifer's a little bit more aggressive in the way that she acts, but she's very much like Mallory. They should have like a whole plot line together.
You'd think.
But no.
No.
So yeah, Steven had taken some messages for Jennifer, and so she's going through all her messages. And then we pretty much cut to school the next day.
And Beth.
Jennifer talks to Beth. Again, I know I'm harping on it, but it's such a confusing thing for me. I don't know why they just didn't make that Skippy's sister.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. Just as Jennifer is talking to Beth and being friendly with Beth, the cool kids come in and like, Jennifer, you're supposed to be at our table.
Now, I was almost going to be okay with the girls, although eventually I wouldn't have been. But did the boys not have a positively rapey vibe about them?
Ugh, they were so gross.
They were gross.
Those two guys.
They're only 13 and they're already this gross.
It wasn't realistic in any way, and I felt it was almost what would it be? What's hatred against men if misogynism is hatred of women?
Misandry.
Is that what it's called? Misandry?
Yeah.
It was almost misandronistic.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
where it was like men that much.
It felt like those two kids were so uncomfortable trying to be cool and sexy with the girls. Like, they just felt like, you know, like when you're in a school play in middle school or high school and you have to kiss or something in a scene and everyone is just totally skeeved out and everything. These kids felt like that, where it's like they didn't know how to be flirty, and so everything just felt really uncomfortable.
So yeah, the solution, and I can't believe they didn't think of it because it's really easy. Cast older boys.
Yeah.
Went for age-appropriate boys. Why couldn't the boys just look a little bit older? Why couldn't they have been like, you know, it wouldn't have been worse if they were 10th graders and the girls were 8th graders.
Right.
You know, these are high school boys.
Right.
And that was the other thing that was funny, is it did seem age appropriate that like the girls all looked like teenagers, even though they were supposed to be like 13. They look a little bit older, and the boys look like a 13-year-old, where it just looks like children. Where they're at the school dance and all the boys are like with their arms up high dancing type thing, you know.
Yeah, it looked like the direction that the director gave them was like, hey kids, have you seen a beer commercial? Act like the guys in this beer commercial.
Weird. Because it wasn't just this scene, it's that big scene in the second act where it was like, wow, you couldn't have reined that in a little bit, made it a little bit more real.
Yeah. All right.
You didn't think a 13-year-old could be a creeper in this episode.
Not that creepy.
Wow, that's my part. I can't believe it.
Corey would have nailed that.
That would have been amazing if you were like the Steve Buscemi in 30 Rock, where you come in and like, hey, fellow kids.
And the main thing that happens in this scene is that they're supposed to go to math class, and then Stacy, the leader of the cool girls, says there's a big sale going on at the mall. They should ditch class and go shopping.
Ooh.
And then she does.
She doesn't want to. She's reluctant at first. But Chrissy is like, hey, we need to do this. We got to do this. And so she ditches class.
Peer pressure?
Peer pressure.
Did you guys ever skip out in class?
No. We had why doesn't that surprise me?
Yeah.
There was, I think, did your school have like a senior skip day, Paul?
We did, but it was a lot more like that it was accepted. It was like everyone was just like, this is just what happened. It wasn't like something that wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it even went back far enough that I think we had like a senior ditch day. We ditched class, and I remember my school was adjacent to an old cider mill, an apple cider mill. And there was apple orchards. It was like in the woods. My school was out in the woods at the time. Now I'm sure there's a 7-Eleven and a Chick-fil-A on the corner. But at the time, it was really quite wooded, and we would like walk into the woods and go to the cider mill, and it was like you were really cool when you were like buying girls cider.
Wait, Corey, aren't you from Queens? Was New York City that not built up in the 50s and 60s?
I was on Long Island by that time, not Queens. I was born. All my schooling was in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
Did the cider have alcohol in it or no?
No. It was just fresh pressed apple cider. You get it, they would press in the apples. You put your glass right under and get a glass of apple cider. It's delicious.
Wow. It's like a Washington Irving novel by way of American Graffiti.
My childhood was a Norman Rockwell painting. If you give my mother.
I could just see like the painting of like a shy boy trying to give a shy girl a glass of apple cider.
I arm around a girl with a glass of cider in my hand. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's like,
look.
And then so the girls are gonna skip class, and then we are back in the kitchen, and Ellen's back. Again.
And now I understand the tweet that one of you made, the text that one of you gave me last week that simply said, "Ellen," and I said to myself, how would Tracy Pollan be back on the show again? That's ridiculous. No, not so ridiculous. Just lazy.
No. Just lazy. But great to see her.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah. She's cooking with Alex.
Let's talk about Alex's cooking in this scene. Now, they start the running joke, which I almost liked, and then they just beat it into the ground too much about what are we having for dinner? Alex is fixing dinner. What are we having for dinner?
Yeah.
So that was the running joke. But what was really weird was that Michael J. Fox cradled a bowl in his hand the entire scene, and was using a whisk, but wasn't actually whisking what he was doing. And he just kept on stirring with a whisk something for a 6-minute scene. and everybody was wondering, well, what's Alex cooking? Well, of course they know Alex isn't cooking. All he's doing is stirring with a whisk. You can't cook stirring with a whisk.
If Alex B. Keaton is anything like me, and he kind of is, he was fucking around with that whisk, waiting for Ellen to say, "Alex, just give it to me. I'll do it."
I was just saying, waiting for her to grab it and take charge.
That's probably it. What's interesting to note, guys, is the second episode of this season is called like "Moving On" or "Getting Over It," and it's all about Alex getting over Ellen. And here we are at the end of the season with Alex and Ellen
together cooking and kissing against a wall.
Yeah. Oh, that was a sexy kissing against the wall.
That's it. Didn't she have him up against the wall and telling him he was uptight and shoving her mouth against his?
Yeah.
And he did. He looked uptight. He looked like relaxed. It's your fucking girlfriend.
He's got that Rick Santorum sweater vest on.
It is. It's from the Rick Santorum collection. Wasn't he he was your senator, wasn't he, Paul?
He was. It was actually funny. It was like I was just about to graduate high school when he got elected to the Senate, and that's where I found out what the word fascism was. Because someone...
When Rick Santorum got elected to the Senate, that's when I found out what Santorum was.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. He, and the rest of the world. Oh, Dan Savage is a saint.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So coming into the scene afterwards is baby Andy with no explanation.
No.
So last night I'm watching this, and Susanna's in the room, and she starts shouting at me in a really hostile fashion, going, a baby? How can he be a baby? I don't know. Is it a flashback? What the fuck are they doing? She's pissed off, and she doesn't even have to watch the show. She was just walking through the room.
I mean, Corey, tell everybody, writers for TV make lots of money.
They make a lot of money, and they're there for very, very long hours. So you figure if you're going to be there for long hours, why not improve the script a little bit and take out the flaws?
I mean, if you're going to drop this at the end of a season, I would say, like, you took it from a different season and stuff like that, instead of just putting it there, have it be that you're telling this story to Andy. They've done it for clip shows. And
why not?
They did it with Saved by the Bell. It's one of the smarter things that Saved by the Bell did, where it was such a shitty show. But they took all because it was originally a Disney Channel show called Something Miss Bliss.
Yeah.
And they took those initial 11 episodes and then had Zach come on for when they put it into rotation and said, hey, back when we were in middle school, Miss Bliss was our teacher, and this is the adventures we went on. Mm-hmm. And this episode, this two-parter that we're watching sucks. You could cut out 5 minutes and just put them telling the story to Andy.
Yep. Absolutely. Wraparound stuff. And unfortunately, I will tell you, here's the one little kink in that one. The baby Andy that was in this show is a substantially better actor than Brian Bonsall.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. It just occurred to me, was there a writer's strike going on? Just throwing it out there.
I don't know, but I mean, that is a very good theory.
I could at least maybe forgive them if there was a writer strike going on. It's like, we got these episodes on backlog, just air them because we can't write or do anything.
So, Corey, with the baby Andy versus 5-year-old Andy, even though it really upset Susanna, were you pretty happy with this return to form?
Absolutely. I love it. It raised my blood pressure for an instant. It was just great. It was everything surrounding baby Andy's performance that pissed me off about this one.
Yeah.
So getting back to the scene, Steven comes in, they're talking about the football game. Alex basically gets fed up with the whole family and it says, I can't cook under these conditions, and him and Ellen leave, saying, Ellen, you're buying me dinner. Yeah.
Hey, what year does this show air?
When?
Yeah.
Let me look. Sorry. It was in 1987.
There was a writer's strike in 88.
Okay, so probably not then.
Probably not.
No.
Okay, no excuses. No excuses, Family Ties writers.
It was released on August 6th, 1987. That doesn't sound right.
So it was a summer show? They were burning it during the summer?
That doesn't sound right at all. What the hell's that?
Is that on IMDb?
Yeah, it's on IMDb. All right. Now I'm going to go to the full... We can cut all this out if we need to. It's My Party. I'm going to go onto Wikipedia.
Okay. While Paul's looking, we'll vamp a little bit. Let's talk about what's going on. Okay, because Jennifer comes back into this scene. And she's still her very Valley Girl self. The mom and dad have had it. And then there is a phone call. And it is revealed to the parents that Jennifer ditched class.
And all right, guys.
Okay. Yes. Paul,
we have to talk about something that this is insane.
Okay.
The season seems to have ended 4 episodes ago. 3 episodes ago.
Okay.
We had The Visit, which is when Elise's sister and her terrible husband and their bratty kids came over. Remember that episode?
Right.
Absolutely. Forget it, Stuart Pankin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was on May 7th. Then we had Matchmaker, which was an old episode from season 4 that they brought back, and that premiered on July 23rd, 1987. So like 6 weeks after the other episode. Then
So they went 9 sweeps with only 1 episode?
yeah. Then It's My Party 1 and 2 were on August 6th and August 13th, and then season 6 starts on September 13th. So something happened during the summer where they put in 3 old episodes.
Was that a presidential election year, 88?
Yes.
It's 87.
It's 87?
This is 87.
Yeah.
Huh? So were there conventions that summer? No, because the election would be in 88.
Yeah. I don't know why you would bring back 3 episodes mid-summer.
I was also trying to figure out, was there like some live special event that preempted certain episodes during season 4? But I don't think that's the answer either.
No World Series or Super Bowl or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
The Olympics? Were the Olympics on?
No, that would be 88.
Yeah, 88. It was 84, 88 for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys. All right, so now I'm looking at the New York Times. This is from October 25th, 1987. A bitter 118-day strike against NBC ended today when 2 holdout units representing about 50 members of a broadcast workers union voted to accept the network's final contract offer. So 118 days from October 25th means that it was during the summer of 1987.
There we go.
Guys, we're like Woodward and Bernstein.
We are. There's your answer, ladies and gentlemen.
There was an NBC strike.
Yes.
And who was striking NBC? Was it technicians, or where they couldn't air first-run stuff, or they just stopped airing first-run stuff?
It was engineers and
by the way,
technicians. The local 53 of the National Association of Broadcast Engineers and Technicians.
Wow.
And if you were going to strike, when's a better time to strike than during sweeps?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're hurting the network the most. You're not going to be able to run original programming during the month of May, so screw you.
Wow. All is explained.
The union struck on June 29th after NBC unilaterally imposed a contract. You know what? On Twitter and Facebook, I'll post this with the episode tomorrow and stuff like that. But yeah, that's why they brought back these 3 old episodes, is because they had nothing else going on NBC that summer.
Right.
You couldn't even produce summer programming.
Right.
Yeah.
They looked in their vaults and they said, hey, you got anything lying around, any episodes lying around? Yeah, we'll take them. We'll run them.
Yeah.
These have now become the most interesting part of all of Family
Season
Time.
5.
We should really start this episode over again and talk about how interesting this is.
Season 5 has now just become interesting in the last moments. Wow. Okay.
You know what? On that note, let's just go to break and then we'll come back.
Yeah, let's digest this. Yeah.
Okay. We'll be right back. And we're back.
And Jennifer has been grounded. All right. For ditching class, for shopping too much, I think was one thing that was pointed out. Although it never was established. Like, they said she had burned through her allowance. She must have used up all her babysitting allowance. How is she still paying for the clothes that she just bought? Which was really strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys have allowances growing up? Was that a thing?
I did.
I got money for chores, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they so she's staying in from the game. We start off the scene, Steven and Alex are in the room, and they're I feel like they just did this to make Alex look like an asshole, but he's rooting for the Steelers.
Even though he's from Ohio?
Yeah. So Steven says, "Okay, let's bet," and he wants to bet $1, and Alex makes fun of him. And so yeah, Elise gives some final instructions to Jennifer, and they are gone.
Mom tells her before she leaves, think about ways to change.
Right.
And that's what's interesting is, as adults, as parents that have had 2 other children that have gone through adolescence and everything, they should be a little bit more understanding that Jennifer wants to try out different personas and grow and change and stuff like that. And as long as the problem was that she skipped class, and the problem is that she's wasting money. But being a different person, and even sometimes being a jerk, isn't necessarily bad for a teenager.
Right.
They're testing boundaries. They're doing all kinds of stuff. And it's weird that they don't want her to be this person anymore. And that's what they seem to be arguing more than school is important. You shouldn't be fucking around.
Right. And you make a very good point, Paul. They've gone through this before, and you know Mallory went through this exact same thing, especially.
Yeah.
It's so clear.
Well, Mallory even asked her in the next scene, what are you trying to prove?
Right. Right. So...
Not the next scene, in this scene, later on in this scene. Now I just noticed.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the living room now, and there's a knock on the door, and it's Chrissy. And Jennifer's like, I can't have anybody over. No one can come over. And then Chrissy has brought an entire posse for a party at the Keaton household.
A posse of bad actors.
Yes.
I saw one of the most amazing exchanges between two extras during this scene.
Oh, tell us.
Where they're sitting side by side on the couch, turning their heads to each other, and both of them talking simultaneously at each other.
Oh my God.
Mouthing. Now, their mouths were both flapping at the same time, but they were looking at each other like we're having a conversation. And no one bothered to explain to them that in a conversation, you shut up periodically.
Right.
Well, normal people do that. I don't know if we do that, but yeah.
Well, no, we don't have to. We have 3 microphones.
Yeah, and this is where we were talking about the guys being way over the top.
Oh, it's the rapiest boy party I've ever seen in my life. When he pulled out bottles of beer.
They're 13 years old.
Yes, when you were 13, did you ever think of getting your hands on a 6-pack?
No. How would you even do that?
Yeah, how would you? Yeah, and just how hard it would be, and how at 13, how bad it would be, would just negate it for me. It's like, oh, we can't do that.
Nope.
Yeah.
But they're very casual in bringing over this beer.
We're also totally shocked that the Keatons don't have MTV.
Right. Which back then I would think would be pretty common.
And honestly, I feel like they do have MTV. I think there was an earlier episode that Mallory was watching MTV.
Oh, you might be right, Paul. Yeah. But yeah. And so this is where I have a big problem with this episode, because the thing that you think it should happen is the parents come home or something happens to the house that, gets Jennifer deeper into trouble to where she finally learns her lesson. Like you kind of expect the parents to have to come home and see the house in shambles, or the kids there or something. And none of that really happens.
No. I mean, they did do that before when they were renting out the house's apartments or an Airbnb.
Right. But there's no stakes from this.
No. All of the mean girls are mean to Beth, the nerdy girl. Jennifer gets upset and kicks them all out of the house. And that's it.
Yeah. That's it. That's all that happens.
Yeah,
the whole episode.
She's learned her lesson, and then by that point, the parents come home. And it's later in the evening.
That's the point where I stopped watching the episode when we started the podcast. That's what I was up to. And you're telling me nothing else happens? There's 5 minutes more in the show and nothing else happens?
No, because what happens is the parents and family come home from the football game, and it looks like they're home at midnight. Like, this is the longest football game ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jennifer is on the couch knitting, and she's like, well, I'm back to normal, you guys. And she plucks out the one earring, and they're like, wait a second, you're not speaking Valley Girl anymore. And everyone's like, okie dokie, Smokey. and then Elise finds the beer in the fern that Jennifer had hid.
Mhm.
And so even after they've already had their like apology session, then it becomes a whole new thing of them being mad at her. And it's like, well, why didn't we do this before? It makes the scene return to the same thing all over again.
Right.
It's like in improv when you say never repeat the same beat twice. There's no point.
Right.
We've already been there. We've done that. We've explored this. So let's move on.
And then they just totally re-explore it, and then she's like, well, I know you can't trust me because of how I've been acting, and then they're like, well, blah, 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 and then they hug, and that's it.
But she apologizes for a second time after they walk in, and she apologizes.
Yes!
They have 2 apology beats.
Wow. That's the laziest thing. That's like, it's almost like they were doing you have a 100-word essay. I was very, 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 very tired.
Yes. That's actually one of the best in the movie Summer School with Mark Harmon. There's the two guys, Chainsaw and whatever the other guy, that are obsessed with horror movies.
Yeah.
And they do that. They just, for like 30 seconds, say very over and over.
Wow.
And that's how this season ends, everyone. That's it.
Not with a bang, but with just a little strike-laden whimper.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I apologize a little bit now.
I do
know.
too. Some of the harsh words we said.
Like, okay, I'll cut you some slack. Now I know why you're doing it. But it still sucks, and they should have been embarrassed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think? Should I change the intro for this? I mean, season 5 definitely still is terrible.
No. Please keep it, because everything about this season sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are we doing, guys? We got 2 more seasons. How are we feeling? You know, we get a 2-week break. How are we feeling now going into season 6?
Scared?
Yeah, I am too.
A little scared?
At the end of every season, I am hopeful for the next season. For as much as you think I'm a mean, cantankerous person, I always have optimism that next time's going to be better.
Well, I do know that we do get Courtney Cox arc next season.
Oh, she comes in season 6.
Oh.
Yeah, we get her next season. I think we get her right off the bat in season 6.
Nice.
Huh. Okay.
Well, guys,
yeah, I'm not hopeful. Yeah.
as I was tinkering around just now on ye old internet,
Mhm.
we're going to have a surprise episode before we start season 6. What is
Really?
it?
Really? Was it another one?
It's I guess I'll announce it now. We're gonna do the pilot episode of the abandoned sitcom The Art of Being Nick.
Oh.
Where are we going to see this episode?
I think it's on YouTube, and it has Julia Louis-Dreyfus in it.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Yeah, and it was released on August 27th, 1987, which was like right after this episode, I think.
So it was probably an aired pilot. They probably aired it.
Yes, it was an aired pilot, and I'm guessing I think from what I was like the cursory reading I had done about it in the past, I think they filmed it in 86 and then premiered it in 87.
Well, probably
I'm
they
excited to
didn't
see this.
pick it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So are you guys excited?
I'm now excited. I'm now excited.
You know, we get Scott Valentine back next season then too, because it didn't get picked up.
Right.
And Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
I'll watch that.
All right, guys. We get a nice little break.
Nice little summer break, so that way if anyone wants to go on strike, they can.
Please feel free. And remember, for questions and comments, be sure to write us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. For updates, be sure to follow us on Twitter at QTWFT. Each of us is also on Twitter. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like our Facebook page. We like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily insights and reviews into the geek pop culture spectrum. Be sure to check out everything that they do. We'd like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the theme song without us. Check out Perry's music at perryadams.com. We'd like to thank Brian Dillon, who edits our show and is also Fanbase Press's president. And lastly, Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. We won't see you next week. We're going to be on vacation.
Go on strike.
Soon.